Now with the high density stuff unlocked in the last episode, it is finally time for some serious city building, which also includes leveling of those buildings. Want to experience my approach on that? Then I suggest you stick till the end to not miss any tips and tricks I give along the way. Hello peeps, Drugger here, welcome back to my city Skylines Let's Play. So eventually you remember this starting tile where I set up this grid to grow the city as fast as possible to blast through the milestones? Yeah, this thing has to go because as promised, this is going to become our new city center downtown commercial office district thing. So in order to do that, we need to move the people and provide them a new place to stay.
The Coast Guard is warning of a tsunami approaching the area. Residents
now that's a big wave. Gladly we don't have to play this way because I just set this up to share a story with you, which starts with this comment. Borst is an old friend of mine from the good old StarMate days. The older subscribers might remember those. Now in episode 2 of the Let's Play I asked for feedback and Borst and the Toaster community amongst others provided a lot of it. So I thought to reward them I could set up this hangout for them. So here they have basically, you know, big parking garage, lots of warehouses to party hard and do some little drifting racing stuff eventually. Turns out he had something different in mind. When I read the comment, I went over to chat with him and I asked him like, okay, so what did you had in mind? And he was like, well, you know, we could have a little party shelter somewhere in the green. And I was like, party shelter? You mean like the natural disasters thing? And he was like, yeah, one of those. And I was like, I don't have the natural disasters DLC. And literally the next thing he posted was a Steam code. I had suspicions, but I wasn't sure yet, so I had just to check it in. Before I could, his next message was like, don't worry about it, got it cheap, it's fine. And now I did put in the Steam code, saw it unlocked the natural disasters DLC for me, and I was like, what? So guys, please, I hope you understand I had to put it in this episode and I want you guys to head over to his channel. I put it in the I thing in the top right corner it is, I guess. Just go there and tell him that I sent you and tell him he's a badass because he really is. So, I really had to share this story with you because it really blew me away. Like, come on, I mean, Now Borst, I hope you enjoy your new place to stay and I guess we can continue building now. In case you're wondering what took me so long to release this episode, let's just say that I needed the time to up my game. The thing is, nobody really cares about what is happening before reaching the high density stuff. Because I mean we were running like 2 tiles of city on just 1 fire station and that is not exactly what you call fire coverage. It was not meant to be fire coverage because all the stuff we had built by then was, you know, temporary and is going to be demolished anyway somewhere in the future. So instead of, you know, increasing our spendings by adding more fire stations, we just went with the 1 and didn't really care about leveling any buildings or stuff like that because we had enough space to just zone more. Now this is going to change because from now on I would rather like to have my episode focused on a specific topic. First topic being that we actually create a kind of perfect suburban district kind of thing. Well, not suburban, like mid-urban, you know, it's still high rises in between, but anyway. The point is, if we are building something without the intent of altering it later, the expectations on how it looks and feels rise. So I had to check out the workshop for lots of different mods and assets and also making sure they work together because not all of them do and I don't want any missing stuff all the time and my computer hanging up because, you know, another prop is missing, stuff like that. This was pretty much costing me hours. But now I think we got all the tools available to really start progressing with our city build. While on the topic, there should be a link in the description which leads to my Steam collection of mods and assets. Feel free to use them. I update it from time to time, throwing out old mods and replacing them with newer ones. And eventually I'm also thinking about a little video concerning this topic. So yeah, but now on to what we have here. Alright, so this is the entire district setup. Let's look at the zoning quickly. So you see a mix between low and high density residential. Bit of commercial in here, I'll cover that soon. But what I really wanted to show you is this kind of thing, because this somewhat resembles the area I live in, which I find really cute. You have these foliage park kind of things, or parking spaces, and then the pathways behind, and then the buildings. So to get this look, I really had to dig into the workshop. So this was the feel I wanted to have for this area. At least, these parts where the big streets are. I also have a street for the commercial section, but this one was just too small to, it wouldn't have been worth it, kind of, if that makes sense. This thing, as I stated already, is meant to just grow and then be left alone. Besides minor changes, of course, if there is something going wrong, we can always alter it. But that was the idea, right? So what do buildings need to grow? Services, right? Trust me on that, I had those covered. Garbage doesn't reach in here on the roads. You see a light green thing over there. But this doesn't matter, because when it comes to services, there are like very efficient ones and very inefficient ones. And garbage is not critical, because as long as you have the processing power, we are in the green, so that's good. As long as we have the processing power, the garbage trucks will enter down those streets. Of course, this also has limits, but they are not reached here, so I'm not too worried about that. The next thing would be health and desk care. I opted for a little clinic here, just to have this in the little green as well. Medical, I think, is a bit more critical. The hospital over there is meant to stay, and this will pretty much cover the rest of the tile. This area, kind of, that's not bad as well. Desk care, I have placed a second cemetery, but just because we want to empty this one, it's emptying right now. So when we are going to let this grow, this will be empty when it has finished. Here's a little tip for you. If you want to save some money, I suggest you use both the cemeteries and the crematoriums, and then every now and then manually set them to empty, so the crematoriums take over and this thing can empty and then be reused again. But I figured it's nicer for 160 simoleons, I guess, every 10 minutes instead of 720 simoleons, and pretty much both of them provide the same amount of hearses, so it's, Now police and fire is kind of interesting. This police station over there and this fire station over there is meant to stay. This police station over there, as you can see, does not reach here, but this doesn't mean that it's bad, because it reaches over here, the warehouses, and it's all taken care of. That's not a big of a deal. And the police is going to become more effective as soon as we implement trade school campus area, because this has the police academy, and the police academy then increases the efficiency of the police force. I also added in, the small firehouse over here. As I said, this one is going to stay. Fire is a bit more critical, because as you can see over here, let's compare this with police. You see Grey Road over there, right? But still all the buildings are in the light cyan tone. And here, same, Grey Road, but those are red already. So this just means that nothing is going to burn down over there. It's just that the citizens living over here don't feel safe of fire because of the distance to the fire station. So this means that if we really want to level up such a district as this one, we probably should make sure it has perfect fire coverage, like green till the end, right? Because we want our citizens to actually feel safe, for them to level up. This is why I opted for the small firehouse here. This fire station pretty much is going to cover the rest of the map here. I mean, there's just little beachfront over there and that's it. Next would be education. The elementary school is for children, pupils, right? We are going to need a few of them for each tile where residentials live. We have 4 of them here, so that's maybe a good spread. I think at least 4 for a tile is recommended. All you need to really take care of is that you have enough capacity for your students. And then I personally prefer them to have them placed within walking distance, and I consider this entire district walking distance to this elementary school. High school is not that critical because teenagers actually can use public transport to get to their high school. That's covered. Now let's check post first. I placed another post office here just because this is in the middle of the commercial district, and you see here I left this gap open. This is because eventually I am going to separate the truck traffic from the other traffic by adding underground direct routes to the warehouses meaning there is also all the posts stored. They can then instantly like just come out of this highway kind of thing, go in here, deliver and return. They won't interfere with all the other traffic over here. So that's basically the idea. Post also is a service that is now essential as we have it because people want it, so we are going to give it to them. Let's quickly check. This is also green till back there. This is why I placed it here. So those two are pretty close together. Maybe I'm going to move this one more in this direction than later, but we are going to redo these districts anyway, because now we want to adapt all to this mix of high and low residential and not just low residential. So I'm going to redo some streets in here, making this all pretty like here. So the other thing, public transport wise, is I included our first metro. There's no line yet, so that's why the actual metro stations are turned off, but at least the tunnels are made already, and here I placed 2 metro stations right next to each other with their tunnels, just because this is how I imagine the metro network. Metro will be our primary public transport method. I'll add buses later, but metro has this really cool thing about it that it is underground by default, meaning it is out of the way, not interfering with our other road networks. I imagine like kind of a web thing that covers the entire city, also the industrial part, up to the airport, all that stuff. So I just implemented it here because I was like, if you are doing a district and you want to have it kind of final, then also do it kind of final. As you can see, we have lots of little parks here in between. These count as parks as well, which is cool. This kind of means that we have like a big spread of the stuff the citizens need to increase their land value. But you need to know the following. Land value, of course, it's influenced by parks or plazas and stuff like that. It's also influenced by water, which is why we have this canal here. But the actual land value is dictated by the buildings themselves. Like if a building is just a low-level building, it will just create a bare minimum of land value. Let's actually have a little check here. So you see there is not much green here yet, right? It's pretty much the same color as over here. It gets greener in certain areas, like here is a greenish tone, I guess, because buildings are leveling. So as the buildings level up further, they increase their land value around them. And by the increased land value, for example, if this building here would level, then the next building around would notice, wait, the land value has increased. This means I might recalibrate my estimation of how valuable this living space is. And this way you can, by using such a canal trick here and a few parks around, I mean these are all like really small, 2 of them here actually, like there's one. You see I spread them pretty much through the city. Here basically for walkway thingies, so you can reach all the streets and that thing. By having this, if for example here are the level 5 buildings, this will like spread out. And if you can, if it is able to continue spreading, then just seeding a high level area will influence basically your entire city. Let's check the wiki for what the different kinds of residential, commercial, offices and industry needs. Let's check what they need and how I am going to tackle that. It's pretty much saying one thing. Residential depends on land value and average education level of residents. Average education level of residents, that's the tricky part, because this has no instant effect. If you plop down a school, it will take a while until the students there are going to, have their certificate and finish that school. Until somebody becomes a high educated adult, it has to go through elementary school, high school and university, any other or campus. Average education level of residents. The question is, what else does this factor in? Now have a look at commercial. Pretty much land value, same thing. So we need a few parks and we need the land value spread that I just described. And then it says average wells level of shoppers, their residential building level. So if basically the level of the residentials where they live in also dictates how good they are shoppers, this basically could mean, I'm really wishing they would be clear about that. This could mean that we may not need any school in our downtown commercial office district, because it depends on the individual Sims how educated they are, meaning how wealthy they are. Industrial, average education level of workers, service coverage, see table. Average education level of workers, pretty much again the same thing, right? If you are able to level your residential area, they also will be able to level up the industry area where they work in. And then service coverage, you can see that the industrial thing wants one thing over everything else, being able to import and export goods. This is why the cargo transport here has this +1 industrial factor, and the office pretty much doesn't care about any goods. So offices, again, the education of the workers, and then again service coverage. Now you see the service coverage is kind of different, but if somebody is working in an office, then he has to be educated enough to work there. Therefore, in this Let's Play, I try to not put any schools into the downtown area and see if this just leveling up the residential area is also going to take effect into the commercial and office area. We'll see about that, but this also means that we have to provide all the other essential services to the commercial downtown area, making sure they have it. Alright, so this is our district right after the time lapse, and I think we can agree on that this is way greener than the rest of our city, right? This is where we are seeding the land value. Let's quickly check on some of those buildings, because some of them are already underway to level 3. But as we guessed, it says educate more citizens, yada yada yada. So this is the ongoing thing we are going to have here until we manage to reduce the level of uneducated people to a minimum. So we just have 8% highly educated, so that's nothing. One thing I forgot about was that now with natural disasters, we have to also do a different thing or implement a different thing, which is called radio coverage. And I thought, how about putting this on this high ground, because as far as I know, radio signals they need line of sight, and on this high thing I think we should get a pretty good one. There's radio coverage. Oh yeah, of course, let's upgrade that. And now, woohoo! So this tall mast pretty much covers all the essential city here, so that's great. Anyway, we are really close to our next milestone and we haven't our city prepared. So I'm not going to bore you with all that stuff, but I would like to show you a little bit of how I imagine how I want to set up the new commercial district here. Okay, here comes another important tip for you guys. If you, for example, want to keep the look of a building, then I advise you, that's not a good example. Pick that one. Yeah, that's cool. Let's say we would like to keep this a bit smaller and we don't want to, going it great because it's so close to the river and we just want to keep it that way. Do not use the high-rise ban policy, because the high-rise ban policy is going to keep it stuck at level 4. Instead, make it a historical building. Historical building only keeps the shape and form of the building and the looks, but it still can internally level up entirely and provide thus as well also the highest land value. Okay, so this is what I ended up with. As you can see, I removed the intersection over here and instead created this thing. So this is kind of a high density layout, and we'll cover that in a second. All the service buildings I moved over here, pretty much cramped them all in a small spot, so their radii of influence overlap, so all the buildings around them can benefit from all of them. Here's a little spot reserved for the crematorium. If you are wondering where the elementary school is gone, that has been moved over here in this area because of all the new high density zoning. There are going probably be a lot more pupils than before. If you are missing the post office we were talking about, that was over here. That has been moved over there. So now we have a post office. There should be one. Here's another one. And that one over there. So we are pretty much covering this entire arc. Now, if you're wondering, I already put in the metro and already did a metro line for them. So here's the metro station, just because I was doing this entire site already. That one I probably do off camera, but we'll show that in a later episode. Also, public transport I am covering in a later episode, but I just wanted to put this in because otherwise we are slowly but surely getting traffic problems. But we'll deal with them soon. So, what else did change? Maybe you remember that little bridge that was here. As promised, I did remove it, but I did a new one, a prettier one, which I basically put like straight under the highway. This is because the service buildings as the garbage collection really benefit from a direct route to their destinations. So we are going to leave this in, but when we are redoing the further stuff, I am probably going to ban different other kinds of traffic on this bridge. Now, let's run this thing and let me quickly explain why this is a high density layout and what's good about it. So first of all, as you can see, the main road is not affected by traffic crossing or traffic that wants to merge in here or leaving yada 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 just by having an elevated bridge over it. To make those elevations not going crazy, I lowered it. You see the dip in here, which basically allowed me to have this height at just 6 meters above normal ground. Now, these roads are lowered as well. Also, this intersection here, maybe you can see the dip here in the line as it drops down. Same from this side, which also allows us to directly connect those two districts by a little tunnel thing. This is going to be important for a later update, not now though. Now, because of this long road stretch up to, basically this is one intersection, means that there is the option for a lot of traffic to get in line and wait if any congestion should occur without affecting the main road too much. This is basically what makes this a high density layout. Now, another thing is when you have so many service buildings around this intersection here, they are going to interfere with the traffic by sending out their units. So especially police is very, very active. Now, if you have such an intersection, you don't want to have your public transport right next to it. Move it to another intersection. Why is that? Because pedestrians, let's run this. Let's wait for the next metro to come. Because pedestrians, they make cars at intersections slow down to not running them over. So by putting this one station away, I pretty much give the pedestrians, there we go, see them all spreading out, the option to spread out in different directions. Some of them are walking this way, maybe some are even walking this way, some may, after crossing here, use this pass, and all the pedestrians pretty much are divided up, so just a fraction of the entire crowd is going to use this crossing, meaning the stress on these intersections is reduced by a lot. Can you see that? Now you see if a car would come now, yeah. See, he slowed down for those pedestrian crosses. So, pro tip here. 2 predictions I'm going to make about buildings which have spawned here meanwhile. They are either going to complain about land value or wealthier customers. So, this building I think is there for quite a while. No level up info yet. No level up info yet. Anyone already? So, they basically skipped the land value thing because we pretty much have lots of little small parks around here. Those garages and parking spaces here count as parks as well. So, they are leveling up, as you can see. And they now just want more wealthier customers. We avoided this entire land value thing by providing all those services and the recreational stuff. They are going straight to level 2, and they do that because some of the buildings level up. This makes them increase the land value around them, which then, affects their neighbors and also makes them level up as well. So they pretty much level up to level 2, but since we hardly have any educated people in our city, they can't level up to level 3 yet. This is only going to change over time. So if you're still watching, please consider using the secret code I give here in the comments, because this just lets me know this person watched till the end. Gives me a really good feeling, because this really means you are valuing the content I'm putting out, and we kind of have a secret club, we could say. I really thank you for watching. Please leave a like if you liked it. Have a good day, and we'll see each other next time. Bye guys.